Hello there, your good afternoon to all of you, our esteemed viewers from around the world. You are on to the Polity, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network, commonly referred to as KAFTAN Television. The Polity is a program that takes a deep dive into unfolding political events within Nigeria and even beyond the shores of the country. My name is Macauley, beg your pardon? My name is Macauley Hunohashi. Welcoming all our esteemed viewers from around the world for joining us this afternoon on the Polity. We are going to be opening our telephone line later in the course of the show. But before then, let me introduce my guest who has already joined me in the studio. He's a popular face in major television stations across Nigeria, and he's no other person than Honorable Ambassador Samuel Danjuma. Samuel Danjuma, you're welcome to the Polity.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Well, guest Samuel Danjuma is a public affairs analyst and also a financial member of the All Progressive Congress, the ruling party at the center. And specifically, he is the zonal coordinator of Progressive Alliance of the All Progressives Congress, representing the North Central zone of the country. Let's just get straight to the myriads of challenges confronting Nigeria. There are so many of them, and the president is not in the country. We are going to take a look at that one later in the course of the show. He has been in France and on an official bilateral visit, and as of today, news reaching us say he's going to be in Cape Town, South Africa, where he's going to have some sessions, bilateral sessions with Ramaphosa. But let's begin with domestic issues. Nigerian Labour Congress, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our own president, the leader of your party, has approved 70,000 naira minimum wage in the last 2 months or so. That is a jack-up, from the 30,000 naira, as it were. Some states have remained recalcitrant, failing to pay or even negotiate the minimum wage as of today. About 5 states have yet to implement the minimum wage, and Labour gave them deadline of 1st of December, which elapsed yesterday, and today, strikes are ongoing in some of these 5 states. Let me mention them. The Federal Capital Territory is inclusive, Cross River, Nasarawa, Ebonyi, Kaduna, and Zamfara states. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much once again. It's always a privilege to be on to defend this government and analyze most of these policies. Now, these has always portrayed the point where I always say that the problem of this country is not with the president. The problem is people should shift their searchlight from the president down to our governors. Now, at the event of this administration, I remember vividly well on the 29th of May last year, the president announced the removal of fuel subsidy, and immediately the fuel subsidy was removed. What did the president do with the extra funds that government was able to? President now increased FEC going to each of the states. So it's appalling to see that we still have state governors who are still telling us that it's becoming difficult for them to pay the 70,000, where some states are paying 85, some are paying 80, some are paying, like my state, Kogi State governor was one of the first governors who paid the minimum wage. And what did he do? He immediately, it was approved by the president, he set up a committee, and in less than 2 weeks the resolution of the committee was brought to him, and he signed it into law.
You cannot be said to be a rich state,
and it's not a rich state. What we get from the federal allocation is about I think it's about 6 point something billion or thereabout, and it's compared to what most of the states get more allocation than even Kogi State. And from the inception, Kogi State government has started paying the 72,500 to their workers. So I think it's high time those states, workers in those states and the indigents and citizens of that state begin to ask their governors this question: what are you doing with the extra funds from Mr. President? We can't blame Mr. President for this. Mr. President have done what he's supposed to do. Federal government workers are already receiving the new minimum wage, so we can't blame him for that. If federal government workers were not, then we would have said, okay, the fault is still with the president. But no, the president has released funds, extra funds to states, and still those state governors should be held reliable and should be held responsible for not paying that minimum wage. And it's high time we begin to ask our governors, what are they doing with our money? We in Kogi, we know what he's doing with our money. We can see the project, we can see worker salary being paid as a when due, pensioners are no more owned in the state, and life is going better for the people of Kogi. So it's time for the people of Nasarawa, the people of Ebonyi, the people of Zamfara. Zamfara is not even if it was an APC state now was okay, because these are the same people, these are the same governors who are kicking against what the policies of the president, and they are even at their own level not even doing what they're supposed to do for their citizens. So we can't blame the president for this.
No, okay, the president has tried, it's been back and forth when it was 30,000 naira minimum wage. Even some states as at then couldn't even implement the 30,000 naira, but Mr. President jacked it up by adding 40,000 naira. But people are saying that even that 70,000 naira cannot be a take-home pay in view of the inflation of the country that has reached.
Now, Nigerians were quick to condemn policies of government. We are quick to attack policies of government. We should ask ourselves this honest question: what is the tax ratio per GDP of each Nigeria? It's less than even what the World Bank says. World Bank says 15%. 6%. So where do we want even government to get all this money that we need for them to do what we want them to do? You can see the front and back with the tax bill and the rest of them. So it's the truth is, some states undergo or embark on elephant projects that they don't need. I think it's time we begin to ask those state governors, states that are not paying workers the new minimum wage, tell us what is your wage bill. Tell us your staff strength. Let's even know the number of staffs in those states that they are finding difficult to pay. Then, most of the projects you do, I'm doing flyover, I'm doing all, they are good, they are doing roads, they are good, but the first thing is look at the basics. The people you are making these roads for, the people you are doing these flyovers for, are you actually touching their lives? That's what we should. First thing you should do for every worker deserves his wages. So you shouldn't, no government official or government or leader should play with worker salary. So there's no way, there's no correlation to you. Mr. President has done what he's supposed to do as the president. You talked about him being out of the country, where we have a lot of, Mr. President for the past few days has been out of the country looking for foreign direct investment for the country, trying to let the world know that Nigeria is ripe and ready for business. Nigeria is prepared, and Nigeria, with all our policies, we are ready for us to welcome investors. By so doing, create jobs and employment for the people. So Mr. President has done what he's supposed to do. It's now time for those governors to tell us what are they doing with the money getting to them.
Well, some of these nationals that are guilty of failure to implement the minimum wage are even APC states. You're an APC man, and you are in fact a coordinator. How embarrassing could that be?
The truth is this: as a father, you make laws in your house, but to an extent, the way your children decide to implement those laws, you can't blame it on the father. Mr. President has done what he's supposed to do. The party is a progressive party, a party who believes in bettering the lives of the people of Nigeria. And this is what we told the people when we came for their vote. And we are doing everything night and day to see to it that we deliver the dividends of democracy for the good people of Nigeria. Now, if within our fold, we have some people who are not aligning, we have a mechanism within the party whereby the party will be able to talk to these people to make them understand that this is not what we told the people when we're coming for their votes, and this is not what we promised them that we're going to do. And I know in the coming days, Mr. President and I know will find a way, and with the party chairman will find a way to reach out to these governors and make them understand that no, you have to do what you need to do for the betterment of the people of the state. Now, Zamfara is not under us. Zamfara is a PDP state. I think the PDP will know how to handle their own issue, but within our party, and I know even those governors, because one thing is this, the problem we're having is that the information out there is not enough for the people to understand what government is actually doing. I think even these governors that we are talking about not paying, I don't think they'll just sit down, fold their hands and watch their people suffer. I think these governors are actually doing something on the ground, trying to see to it that when we start payment of this new minimum wage, we'll be able to follow through. It's not that at the end of the day when we implement it, we'll not start thinking of paying a percentage salary. No, we'll be able to pay them what is due to workers. I'm sure those governors will not just fold their hands, because I know our party did not come to worsen the woes of Nigerians. Our party came to better the lives of Nigeria, redeem the country from the 16 years war of the PDP, and put us on the right track. You hear the president said yesterday that Nigerians were living a fake life when there was fuel subsidy.
Yes.
The removal of fuel subsidy now has now brought to limelight the truth picture of what the country was. I always say it, Ogonzo Okonjo-Iweala said it at the tail end of the PDP administration, that any government that's going to come in, if they don't put in the right mechanism and the right people in the right place, there's going to be a problem with the economy. I wish the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in immediately after the PDP left, I think by now would have been done with this. One thing we should give to this president, that he has the political will and he pushed through whenever he comes up with any policy. He has seen that this policy will better the lives of Nigeria, and we are beginning to see the fruit of these policies. Our foreign reserve has increased over $40 billion, which has not been in the past before now, and a lot of reforms going on. The dollar is if you watch before now, but now it's beginning to stabilize, and the rest of that. And the coming months and the new year, we begin to see the dividends of all this policy. So I always say, whenever I have the opportunity to talk to Nigerians, give the president more time. Be patient with the president. The president came in just 1 year, 6-7 months ago. He still has he has 4 years tenure. He still has about close to 3 years to go. So close to 2.5 years to go. So we should still give him time. And I know and I believe in this government, and I believe that this government will deliver the dividends of democracy to the good people of Nigeria. Well,
Ambassador, you earlier alluded to the fact that after Mr. President took over the realm of governance in the last 1.5 years, the allocation, to the states has more than doubled. In fact, it has quadrupled. Yet some of these state governors have remain recalcitrant, failing to implement this minimum wage. How insensitive would you describe this kind of attitude in a country that is, living in so much abundance?
I wouldn't want to just use harsh words for these governors, because like I said earlier, these governors are there to serve their people, and they are there to better the lives of their people. I think what we should be doing is do more findings. Find out what are they doing, because it's not every governor that wants to be on the pages of newspaper at every minute of everything he wants to do. Certainly, I know these governors are actually working on implementing these minimum wages, because they were consulted even before the increase in the minimum wage, and a lot of them have come up to say, okay, federal government, you're paying 70. No, I won't pay 70. I'm paying, like my state governor, Alhaji Usman Ododo, is doing. He's paying 72,500. We have Lagos State governor, which is also a PDP governor, who is paying 85,000. We have Rivers State governor, and we have a lot of them. A lot of APC governors are doing beautiful well with this minimum. Right. Sokoto, I think Sokoto and KB is doing about 80 or 75,000 thereabouts. So these governors that have not paid, the 4 APC governors that have not paid, I don't want to believe that they are not doing anything. They are. It's just that a little more time, they'll be able to come up with their plans and programs on how to implement the new minimum wage. Certainly, they won't be insensitive to the plight of their people, because they actually seek for the vote of those people, and they promise these people that when they get in there, they will go in to work for them for the betterment of their lives. And I don't believe that any APC governor will want to do anything to see to it that his people are suffering.
Well, let's talk about the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, which is the nation's capital. Teachers have also embarked on a fetch strike, over non-compliance with the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira by the area councils, of the territory. And this is coming 3 days before the conclusion of the first term examination. People who went to school on Monday, just today, with their first term examination, were turned back home. How does that make you feel?
Now, it makes me feel bad, and it's simple. I think even the teachers went overboard. First, they have to be compassionate, because their parents, these are their children, and I would have appreciated they would have not used the future of those children as a bargaining chip to get what they wanted. That's purely insensitive of those teachers. They would have allowed those children to have their exams while their union continued to negotiate with government. Like I said, government knows the sufferings of the people. One thing with workers is workers always want more. There's this Oliver Twist attitude of them. Yes. They always want more. Yes. And I'm certain if Mr. President has passed a bill for the new minimum wage into law, there is no minister or state governor that will want to go against what the president has done. There are certainly the Minister of the FCT, which someone we know is a Mr. Project, someone who has transformed the face of the FCT since he came in less than a year and a half, has done massive projects, opening up of the FCT up and down. I know he won't play with the welfare of the people of the FCT. Certainly, they are working out mechanisms of implementing this minimum wage. These teachers have to be patient with government, and in the coming days, certainly all this will be laid on the table and everybody will be happy at the end of the day. But turning back those students was insensitive on the side of the teachers. I must be honest with that. Yes, they are fighting for their right, but they wouldn't have used the future of those children as a bargaining chips for them to get what they wanted.
Well, Ambassador, let's open our telephone line so that our vibrant callers can begin to call in so that the program can be conversational and as well as interactive. It's right there on your screen. You can see it. Please begin to call in so that you can share your thoughts with us. Ambassador Samuel Danjuma is still with me in the studio discussing the minimum wage saga as Labour begins strike action in 5 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. Now, let me ask you, what will you tell governors by way of thinking outside the box to be creative? Because many of the state governors over the years, in fact, it has continued unabated, only rely on federation account for their survival.
As much as I want to tell the governors of the 36 states of the federation to think out of the box, we also have to do a lot of legislature, because our solid minerals are strictly on the concurrent list of the federation. Now, these governors don't even have direct access to the resources within their domain, so there have to be a lot of legislation, review of the constitution, giving these governors more powers over these resources. Because I don't believe that there's a governor who wants to be a governor and is not ready to better the lives of his people, knowing that he's going to even make more revenue from resources within his domain. You can look at we can all look at what the Nasarawa State governor is doing, even though we are talking about the issue of payment of salaries or not. It's a lithium for battery or so plants, grinding plants in Nasarawa, and the rest of it. In Kogi we have coal, we have iron ore, we have a lot of solid minerals in Kogi State, where the governor, if given those powers, is ready to go into MOUs and see to it that the state benefits more from these resources within the state. We have the limestone. We have about 3 or 4 cement companies in Kogi State. We have the Dangote, we have the Boa, we have this Manga, and there's another Chinese company around the Itobiazis and Alo. So there's what I expect government should do is government should work on their legislature, whereby you give more powers to these governors. And I think at this point what we should be looking at, and what our National Assembly should be looking at, is how we can discuss the issue of resource control, giving these state governors more power, and they should now in return remit taxes and levies to the government at the center. And by so doing, if you open up that in the coming days, Nigeria would have gone far beyond what we expect of Nigeria. So it's more of the legislature. You could see private businesses coming to complain and say that there's a lot of bottlenecks in bureaucracy in government for them to access needed license. And you are aware of the issue of Dangote, the forth and back between Dangote and NNPC, Dangote and the regulatory agency and all that, for them to have for him to get the license to operate. So what I think is government and our legislature should look at our laws, open it up more for governors. And I put it to you, like my state, you could see immediately came acquiring over 7,000 hectares of land for agricultural purposes. He's more concerned about youth empowerment and youth and women empowerment, trying to see to it that he opens the landscape of the state for more development. You talked about the cargo. He got license for a cargo airport and the free trade zone in Kogi also. So state governors are willing to work. What is tying them down? It's that legislature, and I think before the end of this administration, a lot would have been put in place to open up. You can see the president, whenever he's going on all these bilateral trips, he goes with some state governors, and they are entering into, there are a lot of MOUs being signed. And in the coming days, Nigeria will be open up officially and fully for businesses. Now the downstream sector has been completely deregulated, which is now an avenue for any other person to invest and build more refineries. So the major issue is our legislature, and I know with the coming days, with the kind of reforms going on in the National Assembly, the governors will be able to sit up and do more for their people.
Now, when the minimum wage was about 18,000 naira, many local government councils, area councils, were not able to pay, and that there are suspicions or skepticism in some schools. There are some schools of thought that even this 70,000 naira many local government administrations will not be able to pay because it is the responsibility of local governments to pay teachers. What's your reaction to that? Even though there are talks about, giving local government area councils full financial autonomy, which is ongoing.
I could remember the governor of Anambra said something when the full autonomy, he had to send the legislation to the state assembly, trying to regulate and have like what we have at the center, an economic council, like an economic team within the state, whereby some funds from the local governments will be pulled together in a pool to be able to attend to the issue of paying of work, the local government teacher salary, and even retirees and pensions or others. Because he made an example. He said some people from local government A served all their life in local government B and retired. Now, you don't expect the person who served all his life in local government B and retired to come back to local government A and start earning his pension and activity. So it's better there is this pool. So see, the beauty of our constitution is there's room for amendment.
Yes.
Now, and Nigerians, I think the problem with Nigerians is that we are not too informed about what we have. There is always room for improvement. Now, the state also have the power to have his own legislature within the state. So it's for the state now to come together and we've got the governors to prepare a bill, send to their state assemblies and say, okay, fine, from every allocation that comes from federal account to the local government, certain amount should be pulled out. The state government will pay a form of a counterpart added to what is coming from those local governments to be able to cater for all this. Now, another thing we should also know again is when civil salaries are minimum wage were 18,000. Between then and now, a lot of teachers have retired.
Yeah.
So that means there's going to be fresh employment. What we should be asking governors is, let us have the true picture of your wage bill. What number of staffs do you have at the local government levels? That's what the state governors should be asking their local government chairman. Give us the full staff, number of staffs, teachers and other staff force within the local government. So by this, we know that certainly government will be able to. And we also have what we call internal generated revenues from all this, from local government, which accrue to the state government at the end of the day. So payment of salary will not be a challenge. What Kogi has done is, in the days of the former administration of Elijah Days Bello, he did an audit to know the exact number and clean up the books. And after that now, he started paying, and the incoming of Elijah Dodo now has keyed into what his predecessor did. And payment of worker salary in Kogi is no an issue. I don't see any local government worker in Kogi that has complained that he has not been able to receive the new minimum wage. They have. So I think other states should copy from what Kogi has been able to do. And the issue of paying worker salary will not be a challenge, or it will be a thing of a past. And state governments will find it easy to pay those money as when due.
Well, talking about the powers of state legislators to enact bylaws, it reminds me of what Governor Soludo did in the month of October. He asked, he presented a bill to the State House of Assembly, which enacted a law compelling local government chairman to forward or to transfer 20% of their allocations to an account. Does that make it right?
No. Just the question you asked me earlier. You said, how would this local government local government be able to pay some workers' salary if they were not even able to pay the 18,000 in the first place? Now, before now, every allocation that comes from the federation account, both for the state and for the local government, were going into a joint account with the state. State governors were now the one to decide on what to be done. One thing we should credit this administration for was granting full autonomy, financial autonomy to local governments.
Yeah.
Now, by so doing, the enactment of these bylaws was now to guide this local government chairman to be able to know that, fine, this money, yes, is for the local government A, but we still have workforce from local government B that are serving local government A. So what do? We have to come up with a law. So it doesn't be as if we are running a banana republic whereby a governor will put a call to local government and say, no, he made it plain. At the end of every month, mind you, each of the House of Assembly members were representatives of each of those local governments.
That's right.
Parties were there, consultations were made, and this law was put in, and there was a law that said, okay, fine, at the end of every month, 20% of what gets to you comes to this account, 20% of what gets to B comes to this account, then with the contribution from the state government, so that we're able to cater for some of these things, because the local government alone might not be able to. Now, the money that comes to local government A might be more than the money that comes to, which is certain, the money that comes to the Kenya local government now is higher than the money that comes to the local government where I come from. And now it's possible that there's somebody from the Kenya local government, which I know they are, that have been serving in the local government from the inception. Now, how do you expect us to pay the pensions and the activities of such person when he retires, if there's no allocation, if there's no funds for that? And you don't expect the Kenya local government, because the Kenya government also have things to do with their resources to now cater for someone who served all his life in another local government. So the best thing is for state governors to have these bylaws whereby these funds are pooled together and used to solve these issues that might arise at the end of the day, from the granting of full autonomy, financial autonomy to this local government. So I don't see it as doing anything wrong. This is the right thing to do according to the law and according to the constitution. The constitution empowers state to have for state assemblies to come up with bylaws. By so doing, what the state assembly in Anambra did, I don't see anything wrong with it. It was the best thing to be done.
So it's not in conflict with the recent Supreme Court ruling?
It's not. If it's in conflict by now. Okay, now we have agreements off the record, and we have now the federal government pulls a certain amount from state allocation every month for security.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So if the state government decides to say, okay, I'm pulling a certain amount of money every month for security within the state, knowing the insecurity challenges within the country of late, I don't see anything. But what I want is, let it be done properly. Let it be a legislature backing such actions of the governor. And if that is done, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay,
we're going to take a short break, and when we return, our next topic of conversation is the controversial tax reform bills. But after the break, please stay with us. We will come back after taking a breather. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're still on to the Polity, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network, commonly referred to as KAFTAN Television. My name remains Macauley Hunohashi, and with me in the studio is Honorable Ambassador Samuel Danjuma. He is the Progressive Alliance of APC Forum Zonal Coordinator representing the North Central Zone of the country. He is also a public affairs analyst and a very, very articulate conversationist. Now, before we went on that break, I did say that our next topic is going to be tax reform. Tax reform bills that was supposed to be, I don't want to take us back to the history of how we were led to where we are today, but there was supposed to be public hearing today, tomorrow, Tuesday, but it has been called off by the House of Representatives. They have suspended it indefinitely, following mounting pressure from the 19 northern state governors, as well as 73 northern lawmakers that kicked against it. Why is there so much hue and cry about this tax reform bills? Because even Governor Baba Gana of Borno State is leading the forefront, joining the likes of Senator Ali Ndumi from Borno State. Why is there so much pushback from the North, from your own perspective?
I think the first thing every Nigerian should do, I'm advising today, is we should have a copy of the tax bill, and we should go through it. The truth is, what the president is trying to do is, back to the question you asked me earlier, what would the governors begin to do outside the box? Now, in Kogi, for instance, we have Dangote cement factory, where Dangote produces a cement, but the VAT, lion's share of the VAT gets to Lagos because that's where his headquarters is. So what happens now is, when Dangote produces in Kogi, Kogi gets a good percentage of the VAT, because that's where the product is being, produced. See, there is a lot to this, and I think there's just a political undertone to all of this thing. It's high time Nigerians begin to ask these 73 lawmakers and the governors who are kicking against this thing,
what do they really want? Do you want the best for Nigeria? I talked about, just some few minutes ago, I'll give you an instance now. I talked about the tax per GDP ratio. What bank said is 15%. Nigeria is 6%. India is 31%. India is 17%. Brazil is 31%. Ghana is 13%. Kenya is 15%. Nigeria is even the least, the low. We're not looking at that. Now, what does this government want to do? This government wants to do, take more money from the rich
and give to the poor.
And give to the poor. That means the poor now, like in my state, what did my state governor do? Because the governor minimum implemented the minimum wage. The first thing he did was, for the next 1 year, don't remove any tax from their salaries. So, and I know my governor would support Mr. President to see through that this drives through, because he understands and he wants the betterment for his people. So these governors should tell us what is their concern. I give you an instance. I go to Kano to sell beer. You see, it's Bula as I've forgotten this, their Islamic police in Kano. Hizbah will destroy my beer. But you're sharing the taxes that comes from beer production. There's a saying in my place that I have to go look at now. That means what you don't eat, you don't smell it. So if you feel I shouldn't sell this in your place, so why should you benefit from it? Then do all that things to generate revenue within your state. So I don't see why these governors they would have allowed us to have this public hearing. I think for the first time I will attend that public hearing. It's time for us to begin to see young Nigerians should wake up and begin to take the bull by the horn. That's why I celebrate His Excellency Alhaji Adezabolo. He's someone who has challenged the status quo. He has gone against the status quo and make it straight, going through the constitutional, all the constitutional avenue to see to it that things are done and done properly. I said it here in your studio, sitting right on the same seat I was sitting. I said if at the end of the day he pulls all through that he needed to go through the legal fireworks and he doesn't go his way, he will make himself available. And I'm happy he proved me right by making himself available. So it's high time Nigerians should wake up and begin to ask these our elders. I asked the politician in 2011 that if our fathers, who is their father, if our grandfather, who is their own father, did what they are doing to Nigeria now, would there be a Nigerian for them? He never answered that question to today. So young people should start asking these governors and these legislators, do you want the betterment of Nigeria or do you want your own betterment?
Okay. Ambassador, we are being joined by S.O. Dudu, our first caller from Cross River State. S.O. Dudu, the KAFTAN ambassador, please go ahead. Verbalize your thoughts for us this afternoon. The network is not fine. That's why we have not received any call from anywhere. It's not fine. And it's evidence of how the country is going on. Go ahead. S.O. Dudu.
Excuse me.
This is a very, very popular program, and we avail Nigerians the opportunity to call in so that they can share their thought with us. I was not surprised when in the last 30 minutes we have not received one single call from anybody. And I know it is attributed to network challenge, and this is the kind of thing that's happening. How does that make you feel? Let's try and connect to S.O. Dudu from Cross River State.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead, S.O. Dudu.
Oh, imagine a beautiful Nigeria.
Imagine a beautiful world. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my very amiable host, Mr. Macauley Hunohashi.
We appreciate you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ambassador Danjuma, our guest in the studio.
Thank you very much.
The Polity is a very wonderful program, and KAFTANTV is doing the best.
We appreciate that.
The management and staff should please sustain what we are having already.
We'll sustain it.
The topic. Let me first of all react to Labour going on strike.
Beautiful.
Before I come to the tax reform controversy.
Go ahead.
Yes. The truth is that the state legislature in Nigeria, if you check critically, is one of our greatest problems so long as local government administration is concerned right now. And what am I trying to see? The point I'm trying to establish here is this. If you look at it, the state governor have succeeded in pocketing the state legislature in Nigeria. If you look at the state, all the state legislatures, the state House of Assembly in Nigeria have been allocated by the state governor. And if you want to get things right, so long as local government is concerned, we must start from there. If you look at what is happening in the National Assembly, at least it's a bit better. I can commend the National Assembly for this. But you can find out, you can never find out any states in Nigeria where you see state legislatures or the state House of Assembly opposing to what the governor is presenting before them. You can carry out your investigative journalism. My very wonderful host, as an investigative journalist.
That's right.
You can carry out what I'm trying to say. If we want to have it right, the National Assembly, as a matter of necessity, at this point in time, should do something. They should repeal that section of the Constitution that actually empower the state assemblies to legislate for local government in Nigeria. Local government is a different arms of government completely. As the third government that is very close to the people in the grassroots.
Yes. Network. He's making very valid points.
Administrative autonomy and political autonomy is what we are looking for now. We have gotten the financial autonomy. So we need now administrative autonomy and political autonomy.
That's right.
If we can do this, it can help us to empower the local government to begin to look at what is actually look at the state needs of those staying in the local government, those residing in the local government, and begin to address them. If they can do this, it will help us. Because what am I trying to say? If you look at the major problem we are facing, the teachers in local government, they are facing a very big problem. Most of the states are still operating on 18,000 minimum wage, while we are talking about 70,000 minimum wage. Most of the states in Nigeria. Even now that we are pressing for 70,000 minimum wage, what they will do is that they will shift to begin to implement 30,000 minimum wage. And their consequential adjustment policy, just as I've been advocating, is nothing to write home about. Which you know too well, that in most states, level 4 officer will be collecting
more than.
Are you with me?
Yes, collecting more than level 7.
Level 4 officer will be collecting more than a level 7 or level 8 officer.
That's right.
Which is very bad. Then the audit of local government. The audit of local government is a very wonderful thing. I can tell you, are you with me?
Very well, very well.
Yes, I can tell you very clearly that if they want to carry out sincere audit of local government, sincere audit of the local government, most especially by making sure that they publish all the names of workers in the local government collecting salaries in all the wards across local government. You see, some persons will be crying because they will be surprised to see that their names are in the list collecting money, but they are not receiving anything, which is terrible. Let me leave it there. Then tax reform. Are you there?
We're here, Esodudu.
Okay, tax reform.
Tax reform, go ahead, Esodudu.
Yes, on the area of tax reform, we applaud the president for this wonderful deal. The deal is a very wonderful deal. It is timely, and if you want to grow any economy, this is one of the best steps you should take as a leader. Because we can't continue to be borrowing. Borrowing is a good thing, but in most cases where you borrow and you don't use it for capital investment, it's a very bad thing to the economy. Then you continue to be talking about debt to GDP ratio. And debt to GDP ratio is a very big problem, and that is what amounted to what we have as deficit financing. Which you discover that you are borrowing there is no corresponding revenue to actually pay back the debt, then what you do is that you begin to put the GDP on a very big pressure.
Yes.
But with this policy, you are going to discover that we are going to move to tax on revenue to GDP ratio, which is a very wonderful thing to the economy. Then we are going to move also to tax. We are going to move to revenue to debt ratio, which to a very large extent, we now begin to balance some of these imbalances in our management of national debt, which is in a very large extent affecting the Nigeria economy. And most of these states actually kicking against this bill. Are you there?
You're right. We're there.
Yes, most of this bill. Please, sorry, I'm taking too much time.
No, you're making valid point, and it is your show. Go ahead.
Yes, and most of these states taking a different position about this bill, just as our guest has posited. They should take a critical look at this bill to look at the pros and cons. Because to me, I would say that this bill will eliminate multiple taxation. One, those persons that are supposed to be taxed, they will be taxed, and it will contribute to actually strengthen our tax administration. If you look at our tax administration right now in the country, is very poor. Our tax administration will be strengthened, whereby the collection process will be stringent. If you look at the old days, when you hear about tax collection coming, we heard it in history. If you heard about tax collectors coming, our forefather will be running and jumping into the bush.
That's right.
Then what is happening now? Then the bill will also broaden the tax net. To broaden the tax net. I believe your age should be listening. To broaden the tax net.
Yes.
And by broadening the tax net, if the government will be very fair to we Nigeria, most of these politicians, most of these big men that are owning this jets, private jets.
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yes, private jets that are not paying anything as tax to the Nigerian government, they will begin to pay. Then those using those going on luxurious vehicles. That if you go, you see luxurious vehicles in their KAFTANs for about let me say 10, 20 or thereabouts. The government should begin to tax them. The government should begin to tax them to help. And do this, somebody do this in the city, liquors in the city that are occupied by red ties. Government should begin to tax the owners of this building. Then above all, this bill will contribute by promoting healthy economic competition. Comparative advantage in Nigerian states, across the Nigerian state. Let me stop here. I can call in again subsequently.
Yes. Esodudu, you're free to call back anytime soon, because it's your show. Esodudu made so much,
Yes,
Could you respond to a few of them?
He's truth is constant.
Yes.
Exactly, my point is what he's putting.
Exactly.
In China, you can have all the money in China you want to buy. In China and Japan, you want to buy a Rolls Royce. But when you see the tax you're going to pay in importing a Rolls Royce, you better drive a made in Japan or made in China car.
Yes.
I think it's high time the president has to even look into that and look towards that direction. We have the Innocent Motors. We have the GAG Motors also in Nigeria. It's high time we begin to encourage Nigerians to buy made in Nigeria. I tell you one thing. The Italian shoes we hear of today that we buy with a lot of money, if the Italians did not believe in their producers, they wouldn't have gotten to this part of the world. So why don't we start patronizing their made shoes? And start patronizing the other shoes making vendors around and all that, clothes and the rest of them, even up to our cars and our furniture. So these furnitures we import, the guys in Nigeria do them better. So when you begin to when you increase the tax on, I think the truth is, The rich doesn't want, as much as they claim to love the poor, but they enjoy seeing the poor at the state they are, never wants them to cross that level. I won't be scared of the tax bill because I know I'm living within my means now. They know they are going to pay more, and that's why they are kicking against it. And it's high time Nigerians rise up to the occasion. Like he said, this will curb a lot of multiple taxation. It will widen the tax net. There will be more inflow of resources for other things to better the lives of Nigerians. And there will be a heavy competition. So Nigerians should wake up. Young men and young women should rise up. Somebody said something that if you want to hide money from a Nigerian, put it in between books, and that's all. It's time we go for more information, find out what's happening, and all the spokesperson of this administration should wake up. Anyway, should wake up and begin to tell Nigerians this is the, say it in their dialect. We have about 9 major languages in Nigeria. Start saying it in the Hausa, start saying it in Igbo, start saying it in, interpreting it in Yoruba, say it in Igala, in Shekiri, in Okun, in Ibra, and in every other tribe in the Edo languages. Let the locals know that no, this bill will, if it scales through, it will be for the betterment of Nigerians. We'll have more good roads, we'll have more social amenities, there will be more hospitals, there will be drugs in our hospitals, there will be security and the rest of them. We need this bill to pull through. It's high time those in the National Assembly, the 73 of them, and the governors who are kicking against this should actually tell Nigerians the truth and tell themselves the truth. It is time to give back to the people. This administration is all about giving back to Nigerians, and I know with the president that we have, who has the political will and has never backed down on anything. I was telling my neighbors a few days ago that if the president did not take the decision he took on the first day in office, which was the removal of subsidy, he wouldn't have still been able to remove it up to date. So it is time we should allow the process. Let it drive. The countries we celebrate, the countries that will talk about subsidies and the rest of them, you see their tax GDP ratio is higher than Nigeria. So where do you want us to get all this money from? If we don't widen our tax net, it works for Lagos. You and I can agree that Lagos State internal generated revenue of Lagos State is more than 3 or 4 or 5 states joined together, even for plus the Africans, and that. So it's time. If we did it in Lagos and it is working, Lagos has the blue, has the red rail line today. Lagos is becoming cleaner and better than what it used to be because it's a process. As this administration goes, the next administration comes and build on what it met with the previous administration. So it's time we should give this administration evidence of that, enough time to carry through the meanwhile for Nigeria.
Okay, let's take this caller. Good afternoon. You're on to the Polity live from KAFTANTV. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you. My name is Tinubu.
Beg your pardon, we can't hear you. You are very low. Could you please be a bit louder?
Sumaru from Nasarawa State.
Which was Umaru from Nasarawa? Go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Thank you for the KAFTANTV and the present idea. We really appreciate all effort you are making, but I am not in support of the present tax reform now.
Okay.
Why am I saying that? Is because you see the loans that the federal government is putting on the citizens is too much. If you are subsidy, let it go forth. See the electricity, all the loans will be on the common man. It's not, they are not helping common man, they are rather killing the common man inside. So all the issues that they are raising, they are only raising it to themselves. Even the man stopping there, it's like he has not priced well by himself, either they are smelling it or whatever. So they have to consider one project and finish it before they come into another. It's too much for them to do.
Thank you.
That is my information.
Thank you very much, Bitrus from Nasarawa, for giving us your perspective on the loans being, Nigerian government have this proclivity of going for loans and more loans and more loans, and he's saying it's not healthy for the economy.
No, I could hear him loud and clear. Mr. Bitrus Bulu said the tax reform is not time, and he's also saying that government should not take loans.
Yes.
So how do you want us to run government? The tax reforms are to widen the tax net so that we can have more money to do the business of governance. By so doing, we'll borrow less because we have more money to tackle some of this. I could remember I was not born then. I read, like our caller said before, I read that there were times that the naira was higher than the dollar.
Yes, that's right.
It's the same country.
The same country.
So were we borrowing then? We weren't. Most of the funds that these other countries are even borrowing us, it is said that these were proceeds that they made from this country. So it is time we now say, as given an example of Lagos State is working
because it's a process.
So we should allow the process run.
So let's take this caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your name, please, and where are you calling from?
My name is Ngozi. I'm calling from Imo State.
Ngozi from Imo State, please go ahead with your contribution.
All right. Honestly, I really appreciate KAFTANTV. They're really trying for us.
We appreciate you for calling in to give us your perspective.
Okay. All right. On this issue of tax reform,
That's right.
I'm suggesting that the Nigeria should allow the president to carry on with what he wants to do.
Okay.
Because I believe that it will be of help to us. If this tax free, because the rich ones, these governors and the rich ones, they know what they are trying to stop. In the Western world, there is transaction. Our own should not be different. They should allow him to carry on with what he's doing.
Okay, thank you, Ngozi.
So that is my suggestion.
Thank you so much, Ngozi, for your suggestion. Now, let me say this. You know, there are so much pushback and reactions across the length and breadth of the country. The likes of former Vice President Atiku kind of kicked against it, and then Senator Professor Babagana Nazirum, the governor of Borno State, who is also a very, very strong member of the ruling All Progressive Congress, has kicked against it. He has called for caution and, for more time for consultations. And then he's being joined by the likes of Senator Tambuwal, former governor of Sokoto State, and 73 lawmakers that have also called for the suspension of this bill. But on the other flip side, there are those that are, fully in support of Mr. President's actions, the likes of the Southwest and the Ndigbo, Ohaneze Ndigbo Forum, even Middle Belt Forum in the North are fully in support of Mr. President. It seems like the debacle is taking the regional and tribal as well as even religious dimension. How does that make people that you feel?
We were in this country under the leadership of His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of the Republic of Nigeria, and we saw a lot of policies and assaults, front and back. And nobody from the north ever came out to protest, even while the other parts of the country were protesting. The Northerners were fine. So automatically, see, can we be honest? Back to Sir Ahmadu Bello. Is on record where he said that when you give an Igbo man an opportunity, he wants to take over the whole place. The North believes that the only thing they have is political powers. They believe that the southern part has taken over the economic and the educational power and all that, but what is left for them is political powers. Now, for you to come out, let's talk about the former vice president. You're saying no. What are your options? What are your alternatives?
No alternative.
No alternative. So this is pure political. I think it's high time the former vice president should fall back and start playing the roles of IBB, where you become a full-time statesman and you advise government on what to do. I don't see it should. I told somebody, I'm somebody that worked tirelessly for the former vice president to become president, but I told somebody before the 2023 elections, I said if he doesn't get it in 2023, he was never destined to be president. So he should forget about presidency, he should forget about being political and thinking that he's going to come in 2027 and clinch. And no, what the president is doing is what should be done. Why did I start supporting the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Because I saw that my going into politics was for the betterment of the people of Nigeria, from the people of my constituency, and whoever will bring that to pass, I will give the person my 101% support, if there's anything like that in English. So it's as simple as that. So Mr. Vice President, it's enough. Stop bringing politics into everything we do, into every bill. There's no bill that this government has introducced that former Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has supported. He's always antagonistic of them because he feels he wants to give this impression that he's going to do better when he gets there. So how do you do that? This was the same person who told us that when he gets there, he was going to sell almost all government what do you call them? All government properties to private sectors and the rest of them. We knew what he did when he was vice president. So it is enough. It is time for Nigerians to give this government the needed time. Thanks for Ms. Ngozi. This is the best. Everywhere in the world, in the UK, government runs on tax. So why is it different here? If World Bank say 15% is tax per GDP ratio, and we are just 6 below even what the World Bank says. So why don't we even try and get, even if we can get to the 15%? Whereby the rich base, you earn, for instance, you earn $1,000 in UK or in Brazil, 300,000 of it goes into taxation. So why is it different here? Whereby you earn 1,000 and you're paying just 6,000 naira out of, no, come on. So the rich are not just being honest. This will better the lives of the poor Nigerians. This will better the lives of the middle class. Also, as we see now, literally the middle class is completely being phased out. We now have just the high and the low. So it's high time the high pay more to remain high, while the low gets to a level where they can even have lower class within the system.
I want you to be honest with me. Have you had time to go through the document of the tax bills?
Beautiful. I've not done a complete review of the tax bill, but from the little I've picked from, it's a beautiful legislation. Okay,
what's your reaction with the sections that that proposes the ending or the termination of entities or agencies such as TEPFON by 2029 and Maseni? So many tertiary institutions wouldn't have been able to survive to this time without the existence of agencies like TEPFON. And in that document it says, there will be a transition where by 2029, the activities of TEPFON will be terminated and Maseni and such agencies.
Now, one thing with government is we have different government agencies doing the same thing. Nobody is talking about the Orisa report any longer.
The 2014
report, where most of these things were made. We have a lot of agencies doing the same functions.
That's right.
So if government feels that by putting this in place, this will not be needed any longer, I don't see anything bad in it. And we have the time frame between now and 2029 is 5 years.
Yes.
It's enough time to allow this piece of legislation go through. Then we'll run it within this time. We are now matured enough to say, okay, it is enough. Your functions will no longer be needed. Now, if government has enough funds, we have the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education is saddled with the responsibilities of taking care of government tertiary institutions and the rest of them. So why have a different agency doing the same thing where you are still paying the same salaries to staff of Ministry of Education, and you're still paying and even the agencies are earning more salaries than even civil servants in the ministries.
Okay, Ambassador, we lost a caller. Ezedudu was also trying to call back to make additional contribution. Go ahead on your line.
So you understand. So
sorry, let's take him. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Your name and where you're calling from?
From Kosovo State.
Beg your pardon?
I'm calling from Kosovo State.
Your name, please.
My name is Raphael.
Alfred.
My name is Raphael.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
You see, the problem we're having in Nigeria is that we have too much out in Nigeria. Our president has a good policy. Those that consideration with him, one to be former president, all of them. It's all contributing to giving a good idea for Nigeria.
Please, can you help us to turn down the volume of your TV? Turn down the volume of your TV and then go ahead. Beautiful.
Okay, the problem we're having in Kosovo State, sabotage is too much because our president has a very good policy for us.
Okay.
But any policy he brought out, like someone like me to be Tinubu with others, to have with governors, they like oppositions. They don't want to imitate what Americans are doing. Now, if you go to UK, they live with tax. But here in Nigeria, when we want to bring a policy to our people, that's how we see them destroying doing all the even fuel. That's the problem I'm putting on fuel. Because too much outage. But the first problem that tomorrow is really at all. If we consider that, I have not the goods. So if they don't stop all those nonsense, I will continue going this way. So we should pray to God. They should please leave president to control the government. If possible, will let them follow the policy. That's the government to have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. You have what to say.
Nigerians are becoming more enlightened.
Exactly.
Becoming more enlightened.
What you are saying.
You understand? Nigerians are becoming more enlightened compared to before now that you just tell you anything you want to know. You go, thank God, there's at least a very good percentage of Nigeria, if not 60 to 70% of Nigeria now have smartphones. You will get information on your phones and you read. Though sometimes we have negative information there too. But Nigerians are beginning to know that this thing is meant for the betterment of Nigerians. Okay. If you keep kicking against all government policies, when you become president tomorrow, what happens?
Yes, sir. What happens?
Imagine. Hello?
Go ahead, SOBD. It's your show.
Imagine a beautiful Nigeria.
Go ahead.
Imagine increase internally generated revenue through the Tax Reform Act to Nigerian and states.
Imagine.
With the KAFTANTV. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, I say good afternoon to Ambassador Samuel. He's a very wonderful analyst. I respect him. Thank you so much.
Go ahead,
see, I have told you categorically before this time that I am an APC member. Since 2014, I've been an APC member. But as a social critic, I don't give a damn. If the government is doing what is not right, I will always say this one is not right. But so long as this Tax Reform Act is concerned, if you ask me, I will tell you that it's an evil child of necessity. It's an evil child of necessity to we Nigerians. As a comparative, we view things from two perspectives, implicit and explicit. The present tax act we are using, what has it contributed to the development of Nigeria? And what has been the contribution to the states in Nigeria? It's not the state government, this is a question for them. Then, if the contribution is not good enough, I think it is high time we do the needful. We have to at least come up with a very strong act. Taxation is a very wonderful weapon of development. And so long as this government is concerned, the president must do the needful. If he can achieve his 4D foreign policy of democracy, development, democracy, and diaspora, it is a very wonderful foreign policy. And if you look at what is all about this tax acts, those are things that will actually endanger the growth of development in Nigeria. They to promote development, and even the diaspora that are owning or operating businesses in Nigeria, they will benefit from it. They go down to in terms of demography, we will begin to bring more persons, as I've said, into the tax net. We'll broaden the tax net. I think this will help us. And to the state governor, please, it is high time we think Nigerian first. It is high time we think the citizens in their states first. What am I trying to say? Most of these our state governors are lazy. They are lazy. I am on a national television. Someone will say I am using that the language I'm using is too harsh.
No, it's not harsh.
Let's call a state and not a building material, not a family implement.
You're right.
Our state governors are too lazy. If you check critical, let's ask what of these states opposing this Tax Reform Act. What is the present in internally generated revenue in their states, or what has been the internally generated revenue in their states as of last year, 29 May 2023, when they took over, and what is the present internally generated revenue in their states currently, this second day of December 2024. They should answer that question for themselves.
Okay.
And then help their own, help the citizens of their state. If they can do this, it will help them.
Okay.
Because if we cannot continue to be holding our hand at the end of the month and go to the federal government and get allocation, most especially with the removal of fuel subsidy that the president has, in his wisdom, in his magnanimity, decided to increase their FAC allocation by 40 to 50%. What are they doing with the money?
Okay.
That they don't want to sit up. That they don't want to think according to the tide, the changing tide of time. They don't want to think according to what is obtainable in this 21st century. What is actually being done in other developed climes. Harper, our state governors. And please, I'm talking too much, please. But it is high time the information handlers of this present government must rise up. They must stand up.
Yeah.
They must stand up. If they don't stand up and begin to educate Nigerians about this tax reform act, they should say they are not helping matter. And even the National Orientation Agency, the National Assembly members, the APC member most especially, if they want to do what is right, they should return to their constituency and begin to educate their constituents about this tax act. If they can do this, it will help us not to just be there in Abuja. They have to calm down. And I will definitely, honestly, I appreciate KAFTANTV. KAFTANTV is wonderful. And please, Mr. Hunohashi, you can discuss with the management of KAFTANTV. If it is possible, let's start a crusade here. Let's start a crusade of this about this tax reform
from KAFTANTV.
Let's start just the way you are doing. Let's begin to crusade and crusade vehemently to ensure that this tax reform see the light of the day.
Okay. We appreciate.
It is very, very important.
We appreciate.
That is very, very important.
We'll give it a serious thought.
It is not opposing it. It is high time they begin to do the needful. They can't begin to benefit from what they are not doing anything to. Thank you so much.
You can be rest assured, KAFTAN message has received your message loud and clear. We are winding down. So I want us to talk about Mr. President Bola Tinubu's visit to France, and today is going to be in South Africa. Well, there are critics in Nigeria whose criticism has become like fixated. They don't see anything good coming out of government. But I must say, Mr. President visited France on his entourage, government officials, governors, even the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, as well as the business community. You know, Tony Elumelu, the group chairman of United Bank for Africa, has joined the likes of Zenith Bank and Access Bank to have full banking operations in France, and they have signed memorandum on the understanding. It's all over the news. And then Dela Alake, I'm just mentioning just a few. Dela Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals, have also signed MOU with the French government, where French investors are expected to revive about 2,000 abandoned mining pits in Nigeria, which are mined, illegally mined in Nigeria. Mr. President is going to leave France for South Africa, Cape Town in particular, where he's going to co-chair the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission.
Yes.
With Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa. What are your expectations from all these bilateral visits?
Now, I always say this. I'm one Nigerian, and from when I was a child till this day, I've never believed in relocating from the shores of this country anywhere. I believe this is home. I will make it here.
There are opportunities.
There are millions of opportunities here. So I don't have the plans of going anywhere. So I believe in Nigeria. I want Nigeria to work. In the words of my wife, she said, you don't curse a land and expect to eat its good fortune. It's time Nigerians begin to believe in Nigerians,
begin to pray for our leaders, begin to pray for this country to survive, because no matter where you are on the surface of the earth, you are a second-class citizen, as long as you're not a citizen of that country. Now, early hours of this morning, I was reading and I saw that the American president pardoned his son for charges that he was supposed to be prosecuted for in the few days' time.
Yes.
And the same people were criticizing. If it would have been President Ahmed Bola Tinubu that did that, they would have asked those to pull down heaven. See,
that's presidential prerogative.
It's high time we begin to believe that I might support Mr. A for the position, but he did not get it. But the major aim I want is a better Nigeria, and whoever is going to give me a better Nigeria, I'm going to give him all the support that he needs to do that. We can see that France before now had more of their interests in all these other West African countries, but after the military gentiles and the rest of them drove them out of there, they begin to look for more volunteers where they could. And Nigeria is a very good Nigeria is well strategic and well positioned for such opportunities.
Yes.
And Mr. President has gone in and has taken advantage of that and is beginning to bring in direct and
it's like seeing a vacuum.
Yes, he has seen the vacuum. He has occupied it, and you could see the truth is every other day Mr. President is disappointing his critics by his policies, by his actions, and by the steps he's taking. And he's telling the world, come to Nigeria. Come and do business in Nigeria. We have the population, we have the market, we have the knowledge, we have the youth strength and the rest of them, which other countries are lacking. I saw where it was posted that the head of the Nigerian midwifery was telling Nigerian nurses that we need you more here in Nigeria. Nigeria needs you more than even the foreign countries that you want to go to. Mr. President is doing excellently well. All we need at this time is now to give him all the support. Somebody was talking about the state governors. When the allocations were increased to these state governors, because my governor is doing excellently well with these, those that were, when they got it, they didn't complain that the money we were giving us was too much. So why are they now complaining that when governments now begin to bring in policies that will now widen up more of the tax net to bring in more money for the betterment and development of Nigeria? You see some states will tell you that this road is a federal government road, I cannot do it because and government don't have the money. These are the only way that government will get more money to do some of these things. And I know that my state don't even wait for that. Even federal or state roads, they do the roads because they know that the road belongs to the people who buy that road are people from their state. So it's high time the likes of Atiku, the likes of Obi should come together. Elections are over. This is time for pure governance. At the tail end of 2026, tail end of 2025, towards mid of 2026, we can now go back again and start doing politics. But for now, this is time for governance. Elections are over. This president has hit the ground running from day one and is putting the right things in the right place and the right perspective for the betterment of the people of Nigeria. We should give him all the support he needs to do that. In my state, before the advent of Yabelo, the internal generation revenue of Kogi State was less than $1 billion. By the time Yabelo was going after it was close to 3 billion, and it has started exceeding that. These are the things that state governors should begin to look inward. Like I said earlier, Lagos State has excellent when it comes to internal generation revenue, more than what some states with the internal generation revenue and their effect gives them at the end of the month. So this will better Nigeria. Lagos is developing. Every other part of Nigeria will develop if we key into these tax reforms and key into Mr. President's policies for the betterment of Nigeria.
Well, Ambassador, the Lagos Nigeria South Africa Binational Commission was established in 1999 to further strengthen ties between the two countries. And let me just read out areas of cooperation this year. During the 11th session, there will be 8 working groups, and each group will be focusing on particular areas of shared interest. And they include trade and investment, which is huge, manufacturing, the social sector, mining and energy, banking and finance, defense and security, political relations, consular and migration issues. They're very, very huge, isn't it?
It is. Before now, we know the issue we have. Let me start with the last one, with the Nigerians who are in South Africa. The xenophobic era and the rest of them. Up to tomorrow, South Africans are not too comfortable with Nigerians being around. I think that will be looking to, even with the political angle of it and all that, we'll be looking to. The MTN today that we use is a South African company that has been in Nigeria. That has been. So there are lots of DSTV. So there are lots of the Go TV. There are lots of opportunities abound in Nigeria. We have the largest population in Africa. We have the landmark. We have the technology. The technological wise, we might not have been able to get to that level, but we have the youth strength, which is what every country looks out for. So, Mr. President is looking at avenues where we have Nigeria is a very large market. You can see that the Chinese are coming in and are almost taking over everything, because when the former president said we have lazy Nigerian youth, I thought that I was offended with that statement, because I know Nigerians are resilient, Nigerians are ready to work and end a healthy and a honorable living. So we have a lot of opportunities. So by all those bilateral agreements and MOUs being signed and this company setting up, it will create employment for Nigerians. The unemployment rate will drastically go down, and Nigerians will be better and happy for it at the end of the day. So it's a welcome development. We look forward to more of this, and we look forward to more moving forward from just signing MOUs and beginning to implement all these policies. And that's why I've said former presidential candidates should now come together and give the support. And in 2026, we'll begin to look at the policies of government and see where did they do well, where do they need to do well, where would they be able to do when they come in, not just being political at every policy of government and kicking against every policy of government without bringing any solution at the end of the day. So these are welcome development. Mr. President is doing it anywhere. Most Nigerians felt he doesn't have the strength to move around, but he put it to you that this president is the one president that is on the move at every instance where his attention is needed, and is opening the floors and opening the doors for Nigerians to be able to do business internationally and also bring in foreign direct investment. So it's going to be a win-win for Nigeria at the end of the day.
Well, Nigeria is a country full of, citizens that are so cynical. They're full of cynicism, particularly with regards to government policies and programs. And when Mr. President is jetting out of the country, he's been accused of junketing. Let me put it that way. And so many people, of course, are accusing his handlers for lacking in strategic communication.
Exactly.
How do you react to that?
I've said this repeatedly every time I have the opportunity to be on national TV. The media handlers of Mr. President are sleeping. I was happy when the appointment of Daniel Bwala came. I was so, because he's someone that, and I'm surprised why they are trying to cage him. Yeah. He's someone that is ready. He's vibrant. See, he's vibrant. He has the skill. He's ready to see. At this point, you need to tell people what lack of information makes people act the other way around.
Exactly.
Let people know why government is doing what they are doing, and Nigerians that I know will key into it and give government the needed support. The NOA, National Rotation Agency, should wake up and begin to do what that organization was set up for. They should be like the other caller said from Cross River. Esodudu. We begin to discuss the tax reform bill.
Exactly.
I said it earlier. I said it's time to translate it in our local languages.
Exactly.
Begin to talk to people. Go to our state television stations, go to radio stations, and begin to tell people, discuss in their local dialect, why we need this, why government policy is this way, why this is this way. As of today, I think NNPC now sells fuel at 145. It's coming down.
It's coming down.
It's coming down gradually. It's see, Nigerians should be patriotic enough to believe in their country and wish well for their country. I always repeat this. In the words of my wife, you can't curse a land and expect it to give you its good fortune or eat of its good fortune. It is time we begin to believe in Nigeria, pray for Nigeria, wish Nigeria well, and at the end of the day, we will hand over a Nigeria that is befitting to our children. In the words of late President Musa Yar'Adua, in 2007 when he came in, he said, let us, when he had the retreat with elected officers, he said, let us be able to make Nigerians feel proud to anywhere they find themselves on the surface of the earth to be called Nigerians. Let's work to make Nigerians proud in this exact word, that anywhere they are found on the surface of the earth, they will be proud to be called Nigerians. It is high time our leaders work for the betterment of Nigeria. The governors should shield their swords and support Mr. President and allow this bill go through for the betterment of Nigeria, for the betterment of everyone. A time is coming, they will also get into that position, and what would they be telling Nigerians then? And they should also tell us what is different. They should read these bills, and I'm sure, take politics out of it, Nigeria will be better for it.
You have 30 seconds. Last caller, 30 seconds, please.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. about last week, Tuesday or thereabout.
Yeah.
I was so happy. I joined one of the sister television stations and saw Barrister Daniel Bwala, the special advisor to the government, to the president on communication and weather strategy and policy. I was so impressed, and I was telling myself, this is what we Nigerians are actually expecting from all the media handlers of the president.
That's right.
As our guest is right sitting in the studio, we expect at least one of these media handler of the president to be in the studio, and communicating with Nigeria, educating them. Look, Tinubu visit to France, South Africa. It's a very good move. But some critics will be doing a negative criticism.
Yes, I mean to shape the narrative.
The visit is not timely. Foreign direct investment is not just you just fold your hand and you begin to achieve or you promote. You must begin to move out to actually sell your country. Tell them the prospects that are actually inherent in this country.
Thank you, Sir Dudu. Thank you. Time is so
thank you so much. Please, there is a point I want to make.
We'll continue the conversation on Friday.
Please,
go ahead.
The National Assembly should do something about the tax reform.
Okay.
The tax reform bill. On the area of this third form, please, third form should not be scrapped.
Thank you.
Please, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Dudu. At 10 seconds we are rounding up. We're winding down. We have a caller here who described Nigeria. His name is Concerned Citizen from Bielsa. He's a regular caller. He described Nigeria as a motor park where the strongest agbero controls everybody. Do you agree? Concerned Citizen. Well, Ambassador, I don't know your response to that. You will say no, it's not true.
It's not
On
true.
that note, we thank you, Ambassador Samuel Danjuma, for coming to the Polity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
That's the most we can take. My name is Macauley Hunohashi saying thanks for watching, thanks for being there, and bye for now.